KVAQ-TV is sponsored in part by the UTRGV Information Technology Department, which will host IT Tech Days from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. October 3rd in the University Ballroom on the Edinburgh campus and October 18th in the Rotunda on the Harlingen campus. The event welcomes students to speak with technology experts from the IT departments who will provide information on how to kickstart their career in the technology industry as a student. Attendees can also learn about the technology available at UTRGV and get free advice on personal computers and devices. There will be prize drawings, free food, and drinks.
Coming up, trial for Senate Bill 1 is underway. What this means for Texas voters? Ahead. Plus, United Auto Workers on strike. Local dealerships prepare to feel the punch. And Downtown Brownsville unveils new mural from a local artist. KVAQ-TV starts now. Hey vaqueros, welcome back. This is the 5th fall edition of KVAQ-TV. Live from the studio, I'm Alba Cantu. Today is Monday, September 25th, and at the top of the newscast, federal trial for the lawsuit against Texas Senate Bill 1 is underway after being challenged by voting rights groups 2 years ago. Here's Nathan Trevino with the details.
The trial began on September 11th with the lawsuit alleging that a 2021 voting rights law violates the U.S. Constitution. Texas Senate Bill 1 empowers election officials such as poll watchers and enhances ID requirements, as well as banning multiple balloting methods such as drive-through voting. Assistant professor for the Department of Political Science Alvaro Corral says Texas is one of the most restrictive states in regards to voting.
Texas regularly, election after election, often ranks 50th or 49th. In terms of voter turnout, right? So we have essentially the lowest political participation of all 50 states.
In a pretrial order filed by both parties of the case, Senate Bill 1 states it will prevent fraud in the electoral process. The plaintiffs claim there was no cause for this reasoning, and the bill was in violation of the Civil Rights Act by targeting certain groups of people. In an August 18th news release from the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Texas agreed and ruled that portions of the bill violated the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Former pre-law advisor at UTRGV Charles Olney says the real question lies on if the protection of the voting process is actually helping, or if it is only causing infringements on certain classes of people.
It seems very clear that there is a partisan motivation, that the Republicans worry that certain kinds of voting practices are better for the Democratic Party than the Republican Party. Whether that is racial discrimination is maybe a separate question. When you have minority groups who strongly prefer one party over the other, those things tend to get very entangled and it can be hard to separate.
The bill is expected to be on trial until late October, with the decision not coming until months later. For KVAQ-TV in Edinburgh, Nathan Trevino.
Car dealerships are in panic as the United Auto Workers are now on strike, leading to walkouts at auto assembly plants across the country, per the UAW. Tristan, why are auto workers striking?
Automakers are being faced with demands for better job security and higher wages, as the UAW have begun a limited but expanding strike, leaving dealerships like Buick GMC here at Edinburgh wondering how the auto industry tensions will affect their stock. On September 14th at 11:59 p.m., the UAW began striking after the expiration of their 4-year-long contracts with the Detroit 3 auto manufacturers, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. The Detroit 3 and the UAW failed to agree on points of contention, like increasing wages 40% to combat the rising cost of living, or shrinking the time it takes to rise to top pay in a position. President Biden spoke on the matter in a White House briefing transcript, saying, "Over the last decade, auto companies have seen record profits, including the last few years, because of the extraordinary skill and sacrifices of the UAW workers. But those record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers." UTRGV Economics Department Chair Gautam Hazarika says that there is a growing disconnect between workers and management in many jobs in the U.S.
The U.S. has a culture of perhaps overpaying its CEOs, but I'm sure that if that ratio were reduced, that it's not going to cause a huge decline in efficiency or anything.
As the strikes expand their national presence, beginning at plants such as the Ford Michigan assembly plant as seen in the video published by UAW, the weight of worker tensions is felt even in the valley. Fiesta Chevrolet and Bird Ogden Buick GMC General Manager Billy Kelly says that while the dealership has one of the largest inventories in Texas, they're still being cautious for what's in store.
I think the longer the strike goes on, the more impact we're going to feel from it. That's why we're calling all of our companies saying, come in now, shop now, take advantage of the lower prices, because we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the year.
General Motors and Stellantis say they are already laying off workers as a result of the walkouts happening at assembly plants. The UAW have yet to resume renegotiations with the Detroit automakers. For KVAQ-TV in Edinburgh, Tristan Quartet.
With local elections around the corner, UTRGV is working to get more students to register to vote. Andrea Flores is in Edinburgh with the latest on the city's general elections.
The City of Edinburgh will hold its municipal general elections on November 7, while the constitutional amendment and the special election for House District No. 2 will also take place.
For local elections, current Mayor Pro Tem David White and Gerardo Jerry Lozano are running for Council Member Place 3. For Place 4, current Council Member Johnny Garcia is running against David Salazar, and court judge candidates are Hector Bustos Jr. and Armando Guerra. As for the constitutional amendment election, voters will decide the result of 14 proposed amendments to the Texas Constitution. Assistant Director for the Student Union Macid Munoz and Program Coordinator for the Center for Student Involvement Raul Leal take part in ensuring students have access to deadline information.
So I think really just so that way students are aware of the resources that they have available to themselves. And so we just want to make sure that students have access to all of the opportunities to vote on campus.
Munoz says that every vote counts and that voting locally is just as important as the national level.
Also, local politics, not just national and federal level, but just what happens here in your county. That's really important since that's what we are, I think, most impacted by on a day-to-day basis.
Students needing to update their voter registration information have until October 10 to do so. Early voting begins on October 23rd and ends November 3rd. You can cast a ballot at the UTRGV Student Academic Center or the Edinburgh Elections Annex building. Computer science sophomore Jose Vela says he checked his voter registration status ahead of time.
Well, I mean, we're the next generation, we're the next ones up, so I think it's important for them to get our opinion.
To register to vote or check your status at any time, you can visit utrgv.turbovote.org. For KVAQ-TV in Edinburgh, Andrea Flores.
Exams and classwork are beginning to pile up for some students, bringing the possibility of burnout. Julia Guerrero with more.
Student burnout. Some say it's preventable, some say it's inevitable. Do we all handle our academic education the same? According to a study conducted by the National Library of Medicine in 2022, about 54% of college students experience emotional exhaustion and depersonalization from academic burnout. UTRGV Counseling Center Director Christopher Albert says burnout happens when students take on too many demands at once.
Now, burnout is the experience of just being run down. We just no longer have the mental or even physical energy to move forward and resolve problems and take care of our lives.
Albert says burnout can be either visible or unexpected. Having a lower level of energy and feeling less motivated to follow through with your daily tasks are some burnout symptoms. Environmental science senior Larissa Cantu says she has experienced burnout throughout her years in college.
What I've done, or what usually works for me, is walking or moving my body, because sometimes I stay put, like working on homework and studying for hours.
Albert says organizing responsibilities and prioritizing them can help students recognize which goals to put first and prevent burnout. Yoga instructor for the UREC in Edinburgh, Carla Cavazos, says her classes are usually filled with students. She reminds them to include self-care time in their daily schedules.
It's very important to make time for yourself. I know students nowadays, especially more than ever, are a lot busier than ever before. It's a good way to bring yourself back down whenever you're just stressing out over exams, daily life, bills, everything that consumes our mind on a daily basis.
Cavasso says even 10 deep breaths a day is beneficial because deep breaths are little love notes to your body. For more information and resources, you can contact the counseling department at counseling@utrgv.edu. For KVAQ-TV in Edinburgh, Julia Guerrero.
The city of Brownsville unveiled the winning mural of a young local artist on September 14 in downtown Brownsville. Monica Chavez with more.
The mural showcases Brownsville cultural emblems such as the Gladys Porter Zoo, SpaceX, UTRGV, and the Mexican border.
You know, that's what I master in, and that's what I'm happy to bring to this street. You know, all this color and all this richness.
Artist Jesse James Lopez won the city's contest to paint the 1,227 square feet mural at 1268 East Elizabeth Street on March. He competed against 20 local artists from Brownsville. With slightly over a grand to spare, Lopez bought 20 gallons of exterior paint and brushes and got to work. With some help of 9 volunteers from the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts, the Revival of Cultural Arts, and UTRGV art students, the mural was completed in 3 months.
They helped me with base coverage, textures, grass, the floor texture on that side, and they really did a lot with like coverage, and then I went in with details and added my touch to what they helped me out with.
Lopez says his master technique, mixing and blending, is what brings life to the painting, and says that his childhood memories are imprinted in the piece.
I grew up here, born and raised, so I feel like I really had a strong grounding for this mural call, especially for the things that they listed, you know, Gladys Porter Zoo, the church, Sombrero Fest every year, Chowder Days, Spring Break.
City Commissioner for District 3, Roy de los Santos, shares his appreciation for the artwork and the artist.
I think it spurs more creativity and imagination in the younger generations, and it shows other local artists what opportunities are out there to continue to aspire to.
City Commissioner for District 1, Brian Martinez, tells us what this mural represents. We are the second most historic city in the entire state of Texas, and when we make these types of efforts, it can promote the culture we have here and our unique identity that is only found here on the border with Mexico. Lopez says the mural has created many opportunities for his work, and he will continue creating art.
But I'm down for it all. I'll go all around Brownsville and paint the whole city if I can.
For information about mural calls and art exhibitions, you can visit brownsvilletx.gov. For KVAQ-TV in Brownsville, Monica Chavez.
And that's a wrap for us today. Make sure to watch us Monday through Friday on Vicas Monitors and social media. For KVAQ-TV, I'm Alba Cantú. Have a great week, vaqueros.